the absence of Commissioner Mesmar, and since the time is 5:30 and we're ready to begin the meeting, I'll lead us in prayer. If you'll join me in prayer, please. Almighty and ever-living God, source of all wisdom and understanding, be present with those who take counsel for the renewal and mission of your church. Teach us in all things to seek your honor and glory. Guide us to perceive what is right, and grant us both the courage to pursue it and the grace to accomplish it through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Citizen communication.
Mayor, we have one. It's Mr. Ron Lozano, and I believe he's present. And he would like to speak on item number 4 at the public hearing. So.
Item number 4 at the public hearing. Okay. Then item 1 is a proclamation proclaiming the week of September 10th through September 16th as Mexican Independence Week in the city of Harlingen. And I'll present this proclamation. Is there anyone here to receive the proclamation?
No one.
No, Mayor.
Mayor.
All right. If anyone,
I'm Hispanic, I'll
let's
go.
all, in case Connie and Gonzalez are watching, let's all wish them a happy anniversary.
That's awesome.
Whereas on the 15th of September 1810, the Mexican people responded to the call for independence of Father Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla with blood and valor. And whereas today many in our community trace their Mexican and American heritage back generations, while others have more recently come to pursue the promise of the American dream. And whereas each year at these times we honor the rich heritage of the Hispanic community and celebrate its countless achievements, and whereas Mexicans and Mexican Americans living in Harlingen represent the spirit of hard work and commitment to build a better life for themselves and their children for a better future. And whereas those contributions from Harlingen's Mexican American community encompass the arts, business, many professions, governmental, and community leadership, thereby enriching our lives culturally and economically. And whereas it is fitting to recognize our community, our neighboring country of Mexico's independence and the strong cultural and economic ties between our two great nations. Now, therefore, I, Chris Boswell, Mayor of the City of Harlingen, hereby proclaim the month of September 15th or October 15th as National Hispanic Heritage Month, and the week of September 10th through September 16th, 2021 as Mexican Independence Week in the City of Harlingen, and encourage all Harlingen residents and residents of Cameron County to unite in celebrating Mexico's Independence Day. And so, for the past number of years, we have been very proud of celebrating through special celebrations our 16 of September. And we've had great entertainments at our Harlingen Municipal Auditorium. Fortunately, due to COVID-19, we've had to suspend those celebrations the last 2 years. Back in 20 and again this fall, we're suspending that celebration. But at the same time, we don't want to forget this special recognition and celebration, and we ask everybody to keep it in their minds and their hearts, and to remember that we are partners with the great country of Mexico, and especially along here along the border. There's Tamaulipas and Texas are the largest, the 7th largest trading bloc in the world. So we're mutually dependent on each other for the economies that we have, and so we want to recognize our partnership. So congratulations to everyone. Thank you.
Irma had asked me to take some pictures.
Oh, we have a professional photographer. Thanks, Rigo.
Item 2 is the approval of the minutes, special city commission meeting of May 26, 2021. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, or is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. We're going to take item 3B out of the consent agenda, and that's second and final reading to approve an ordinance amending the City of Harlingen's budget for fiscal year 2021.
Robert? Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners. This is the second reading for Budget Amendment Number 4, which increases the general fund revenues by $3,056,910. This is to recognize some of the revenues for sales tax, property tax that came in higher than we had expected, and also some that came below what we expected, like charges for services, rentals, reimbursement. So that's just kind of a cleanup on some of the revenues in the general fund. The expenditures are proposed to increase $896,345. And these are for some Jefferson Street Tatum drainage match, legal expenses, COVID-19 vaccine expenditures that we had, and street improvement project funding of $540,000.
Robert, what was the difference between the first reading and this reading?
So the difference between the first reading and the second reading is on the next page on the grant awards. There's a fire department grant that we actually received the funding, so we wanted to increase the revenues and expenditures for that $7,000. And nothing else changed on the budget.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions on that? Then is there a motion to adopt the ordinance on final reading?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. So the next item is the consent agenda, items 3A and 3C through I. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Mayor, I'd like to see if we could move item 21 and 22 to the front. And I'd also like to ask on item 21, I'd like to go into executive session to get some legal advice from our attorneys.
All right, well, okay. Would you, does anybody mind if we take item 11 first? Let's go ahead and do it since the broadband, maybe some of the broadband people are here. Let's go ahead and,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and take that
Do
with
that first, and
broadband.
then we go to the 21 and 22.
No, okay, that's fine. Item 11 is a consideration of possible action to select the highest ranking firm and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a consulting services contract pursuant to RFQ number 2021-15, request for qualifications for broadband network feasibility study and implementation strategy.
Mayor, members of the commission, earlier this afternoon we heard presentations from Cobb Finley. They were the first. Foresight Group LLC, they were the second. And Geeks Without Frontiers, they were the third consulting firm to make a proposal to the commissioners. What we're asking for tonight is simply to rank them 1 and 2 and 3 so that the city manager will start negotiations with the top ranked company, and then we can go from there. So that's what we're asking for direction from the city commission today.
Since I was absent, I'm going to let you all rank them, but the only thing I'll ask you all is that we do not exceed our budget amount.
Okay. Well, I make a motion to just go with the staff recommendation with Cobb Finley, number 1, Foresight, number 2, and Geeks Without Borders, number 3.
And I second the motion.
Second. Any discussion?
Is that contingent on the budget?
Depending on the budget.
I mean, just not to exceed the budget amount.
No.
I mean, you're going to negotiate that anyway, correct then?
Yes.
All right, the motion is to accept the staff recommendations on the ranking and to authorize the city manager to negotiate. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. All right, item 21. Consideration possible action regarding the removal of an airport board member for the city of Harlingen.
Yes, this is the item I asked to go into, see if we can go into executive session. I want to get some legal advice before we make a decision on that.
So,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Commissioner.
I'd like to go into executive session to ask, I wanted to ask some legal direction on that, and then depending on their recommendation, we'll come out.
All right, do you want to go in on both items or just 21?
I believe we can go on both, because we're going to take
Okay,
them one or two
we'll
next.
and is there a motion to go into executive session on
Motion.
item 21 and 22? Is that the motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to consult with our attorneys on 2 items. Okay, we're out of executive session at 6:02. Go to item 1. Is there any action on item 1? I mean 21?
No action, sir.
Okay, hearing no action, we'll go to item 22. Consideration possible action regarding the city attorney's contract.
Well, I'd like to, because this is out in the open, to state that the commission, I'm going to make a motion to give our attorneys their 30-day notice that's in their contract to fulfill our contract agreement, that we are going to go in a different direction and give them the proper notice that's required by their contract. That's my motion.
We can have discussion first, or?
Okay?
Did you second it?
Oh, well,
What's your
we can have.
Yeah, you have the second.
You need a second, and then it's discussion.
Second.
Okay, is there discussion?
Yes.
Commissioners, I don't understand what we're trying to accomplish with going with a different legal firm. I will tell you that we have an excellent team in the city of Harlingen, not just the internal staff, but also our legal team. That has allowed us to carry forth a number of projects, sidewalk projects, drainage projects, road projects, quality of life projects, our convention center. All these projects are possible because of the team that works on them, and the legal team is a big part of that. Changing legal teams in the midst of a couple of lawsuits, the Peña lawsuit, the SBA lawsuit, an ongoing arbitration with one of our officers, I don't understand what it is we're trying to accomplish. But it does put staff in a very difficult position, because we need to go find another set of attorneys that has the same expertise and brings the same level of experience that our attorneys do. And staff has to work with those attorneys in order to accomplish things and move projects forward in a timely fashion. And I will tell you, being here as long as I have, and dealing with various attorneys over the years, we have that now with our attorneys. So I'm not sure I understand. Outside the politics, I don't understand what it is that we're trying to accomplish, because it will slow things down. It will impact my ability to carry forth projects. And so that's what I wanted to share with the commission. So this was placed in the agenda. I didn't know what it was about, so I'm at a loss for words here. I'm not sure what it is we're trying to accomplish.
Okay. I mean, without due respect, I mean, I heard, your sentiments and your feelings, and I understand them. But really, at this point, right now, I'm not ready to discuss the reasons why, or frankly, just want to go in a different direction, and I'll leave it at that. And I agree with you. I think they're excellent attorneys. but I want to go in a different direction, so that's my motion. I want to fulfill the contract, 30 days, and that's it.
I'll give you a reason that I have personally. I agree. The staff is excellent. You guys, Dan, and all the staff that we have here at the city are excellent. I understand what you're saying about you have to work with the legal, and legal is a big part of that. I understand that. The reason I'm in favor of this is because from my short experience here, as I've seen how things work, it doesn't seem that every time we have either a lawsuit or something that's going on legal, it doesn't, to me, again, this is my personal opinion, it does not seem that the best interests of the city, again, not with the staff, I'm talking about legal, is always put at the forefront. And I can mention some of the lawsuits that we are pertaining right now. And I know, I'm not going to speak about it, but I know there was an instance in the last executive session where there was pertinent information that was very, very important and wasn't given to us, and the attorney received it, didn't give it to us because, to me, it seemed like they had already made up their mind in what direction they wanted to go. And since the other information didn't kind of go with where he wanted to go, he didn't present that information. It took someone else to present that information to us. And I've seen other things like other contracts, or not necessarily contracts, but just things that I've seen that I don't believe that the best interests of the city are always at heart. And that's what I think I need. And you're right, you don't understand the politics and all that, or not that you don't understand, but politics aside, it shouldn't matter when it comes to this, to what politics aside, what matters most is that whatever the legal team does, it should always be in the best interest of the city of Harlingen. And in my opinion, from what I've seen in the past few months, that hasn't always been the case. I'm not saying that they're not good lawyers, because they are. They seem to be good lawyers. They seem to be competent, but it just seems that sometimes their best interests are not the same as Harlingen. And that's why I agree with this. Because I know you wanted a reason, and that's why I gave it to you.
I would love to show you a copy in executive session, a copy of a brief that was filed by our attorneys, and that would maybe help you understand what they've accomplished, been doing on that one particular lawsuit.
But here's the thing.
That would help explain a lot of what you're talking about. And this was filed way beforehand. And I would love to show you a copy of it. I have a copy of it. That's something typically that they see. But I would love to show you so that you can read it for yourself, the type of work that they're doing. When we're talking about not showing you pertinent information, if you read that brief, you would realize the effort that's being put forth to accomplish the task that was put forth by the City Commission, that was directed by the City Commission. It is very detailed. It is very well put together. I read it today completely. And I would love to have the ability to show you that. Of course, I'd have to do it with them in the room because we can't go into executive session without them in the room. But I would ask them, only one of them to come into the room. But I would love to show you that so you can see an example of how it is that they're carrying out the wishes of this commission.
So here's so this is the thing. I don't want to negotiate about the way I feel. I like to put it to a vote, right? I think we're doing the proper.
Well, you can put it to, it'll come to a vote in a minute.
Yeah.
But
So no, this is part of my discussion. What I don't want to do is sit here for next half hour, 45 minutes, and this is not an easy decision. Not something I came up with yesterday, or that somebody. This is something that got put on the agenda. You asked, you made your feelings known, which is fantastic, great. And at the end of the day, it's what this commission will vote on and decide. If they decide not to do it, I put together the motion, and if they decide not to do that, and they give you that's totally up to them. But my recommendation is to fulfill the contract that to make sure we're doing it the right way, and give them the notice, and then we'll go in a different direction. It's just that simple. Because the more you talk about and delay stuff, and I don't want to do that. I don't, right? I know it's a very difficult decision to have. I like to have the decision, make it, and then move forward, and let's get on to more other business.
There's a process for selecting a new attorney. There's a
Understand
process for selecting a new attorney. It takes more than 30 days.
Annually there is we have a review, an evaluation of the city attorney, the city auditor, and the city manager. That review's coming up in November. That's really the place to address concerns with the city attorney and to evaluate and to have a dialogue like you would with any employee in any business. That's not happening here. We're seeing an agenda item placed on Friday for our city attorney, Rick Navarro, who you heard in executive session, has an excellent reason for not being present. And I mean, this is harsh to not give him an opportunity to be here to talk to you about his contract, especially given the circumstances that you were made aware of in executive session. Very, very harsh. It is not professional. It's not the way we want to be known for here in Harlingen, to do things in a professional, well thought out manner. This is a knee-jerk reaction based upon something I don't know. But you don't walk into the city manager and city secretary's office on a Friday afternoon and say, I'm going to file, let's terminate the city attorney. Hang on, I'm not done. So that's one thing. Just not giving the city attorney any sort of kind of respect for what he's done, and for his position and for the situation that he's in. I feel like I've gone back in a time machine about 10 years ago, where we had a city commission. The first thing they did, they came in, they fired the city attorney. Next thing they did is they fired the city manager. Next thing they did is they removed volunteer members of prominent boards. And coincidentally enough, they didn't approve an agreement with Sun Valley Aviation. None of those commissioners, none of those three commissioners were reelected. They were all defeated in the next election or in the next time they ran, and some of them ran more than once. I don't think the public wants us to be doing that. I think the public and the citizens of Harlingen want us to be addressing the very real issues that we have that we're about to review here pretty soon from the strategic planning session. I think they want us, those are the things that they want us to work on. They don't want us to get angry and fire city attorneys and fire other people and fire prominent members of the community from boards. I just don't think that's what the community wants us to do.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
First, I take offense at saying this is a knee-jerk thing that we're doing. It's not. This is something that I've thought of for a while, to be honest, especially after some of the meetings that we had. And you were there at that meeting where you yourself were pushing the same item that the attorney was pushing when it was going against the interests of the city. And you were there, and you were actually pushing it, even after you heard from the expert lawyer that said we should not be doing this because it can penalize the city in certain areas. You were still pushing it. Okay, with the city attorney, even though we got advice from the expert attorney, who the actual attorney himself said, hey, he's the expert.
Well,
he's the expert.
Okay, I'm prepared to discuss that with you in executive session later on and explain to you why that expert gave conflicting opinions, and I'm ready to show those to you. And if you'd like to delay the vote on this until after we have that discussion, maybe that would enlighten you a little bit. But you're not willing to hear information, Commissioner.
Another thing I want to say is that you're throwing in like they're not getting reelected. Honestly, that would matter to me if I was a politician. Okay, if I was a politician, whether I get reelected in 2024, that would matter to me. I'm not a politician. I got here and with the intention of doing what I felt was right, and no matter what it was going to be, if I felt that was the right thing for Harlingen, if it was in the best interest of Harlingen, I'm going to do it. Whether I get reelected in 2024, honestly, hey, the point is I'm here now, and I'm going to make the changes that I feel that need to be made that I believe are in the best interest of Harlingen. And right now, the information that you gave us about the city attorney, about his situation right now, my heart goes out to him. I did not know when we made that because it's kind of like you just kind of threw it at us right now in the executive session, and you're basically saying, oh, we should have known beforehand. We didn't. We didn't know what was going on or anything like this, but this was already set in motion. And I don't see how that would change anything because basically I'm judging it by the past behavior, not behavior, but the past work, performance that he's done previously.
And 4 months is plenty of time for you to assess that.
Well, and what I've seen, yeah, if that's been doing like that in 4 months, and I mean, I could just imagine how it's been even before that. I mean, that's what bothers me about it.
Yeah, I don't think 4 months is enough time to assess it. I think my comment about people not being reelected is a comment to reflect what the community wants us to be doing. I don't think the community wants us to be taking actions like this that don't address, the problems and the issues that we have, and that we need to address them in a more professional and methodical manner. And that I don't think you can suggest that placing an item on an agenda on a Friday night.
It wasn't during the Friday night.
To terminate a city attorney who's been here for 5 years and not give him an opportunity at least to discuss it with you or after an evaluation is the way to do that.
Well, first off, it bothers me that you're making it sound like if I came in here at 6 o'clock in the evening and Richard came in here at 6 in the morning and 6 in the evening and we're like sneaking around the office and like, hey, we're gonna put this on the agenda. That's not the way it happened. We came early. We correct me if I'm wrong, but we do have till Friday to make this decision to put something on the agenda. Is that correct, Mayor?
Well,
Yes or no?
We don't know how it happened because you haven't explained.
No, but what I'm saying is we have till Friday to put some things on the agenda. Is that correct? And the fact that you said I waited till Friday just shows you the reflection I was taking. This was not an easy decision I made. This is not something like a knee-jerk reaction that you're accusing me of doing. This is something that I thought of, I slept over. I actually lost some sleep over it because I'm just like.
Did you talk to the city attorney about it prior to, did you discuss any of your concerns with the city attorney prior to placing this item on the agenda?
No, I did not.
All right, do you think that's a fair way to handle it?
I don't think
that's fair?
What I don't think is fair is the agendas that he seems to have when he's pointing things like for the Sun Valley lawsuit that's going on, when he doesn't present us that pertinent information that we need, and he's literally has an agenda that says, we're going to get this approved, and no matter what the cost, no matter whether the airport loses its runway or anything like that, hey, that doesn't matter because, you know what, this is what's going to happen.
Well,
Commissioner, I just want to say that is an active lawsuit, so I would be careful about discussing.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Things that
That's
happen
why
in
we had a
executive
discussion.
session.
Okay.
Just,
Okay.
we have a vote. I'd like to get the vote.
all right, is there any other discussion?
Just a comment. I think the term politics is a strong term that we're using, and I don't think it has anything to do with politics. The commissioners have their reasons. I think you guys have done a fantastic job. The only thing that I have been uncomfortable with is in the short time that I've been here, 2.5 years, it seems that the firm is almost overqualified to take care of the city of Harlingen because they've come back to us for several requests for more money because they've got more work to do. And I'm thinking, well, that's what we hired them for, and that's what they're supposed to do. And so looking from the outside in, I found it hard to approve these increases of funding, and so that was the only concern I had. This news that we just got tonight, that for the reasons he couldn't be here, that's, we didn't know on Friday that he wasn't going to be here either. So having said that, if the rest of you guys would agree, if we can maybe make a motion, or I wouldn't know how to amend it, but if we could maybe call a special meeting to when he comes back to where we can talk to him about it, is that an option that we might want to consider?
That wasn't my motion.
Well, I'm asking.
I understand, but
Okay.
we have a first and a second. We can vote.
Well, he can ask that you amend the motion.
Okay,
If you
well,
don't want to amend it, you can say I'm
That's-
inclined to amend it.
that's what I wanted, is it, so that way we can at least, I know what direction we want to go to, and I agree with you, but can we at least give him, and I don't know how much time we need for a special meeting just to discuss him, but I just want to know if we can amend the motion and take that route.
I don't want to do that.
And I just want to make it clear that the term that I was using wasn't trying to offend anybody, just trying to get an understanding of what it is that we're doing.
Well,
Because at the end of the day, I've got to work with them to carry
Hey,
things forward.
Brady, you talked about delay and kicking stuff down, and then
Okay,
you
well-
think you got phone calls now about stuff?
Commissioner Puentes proposed that there be, that we reschedule this.
Just give them a chance to talk to you, that's all.
And that you asked asked that it be amended. So if you,
How about we go-
If Commissioner Levy doesn't want to accept that,
No.
then Commissioner Puente and Commissioner Morales, for example, could vote against the motion, and then you could make your, and if it dies, you could make your motion. It's up to you.
All I'm saying is that we would want the same consideration, Commissioner. That's all we would want.
Excuse me, Dan, if this was on the agenda on Friday, why didn't you bring this up sooner? Why do we have to wait till the 11th hour to find out what the situation is? That's one thing. Now, in reference to what Commissioner Bettis mentioned, okay? Everything that he said, I have observed, okay? Everything, all right? So the same thing applies to me. If this has been happening, and I've been here for a very short period of time, and any time Mr. Commissioner Puente over there brings up a certain, hey, can you give us some leeway so we can have more ambulances here for our services? The first thing is, we can't, because it's not a, let me see what I can do so I can change or amend an ordinance so we can have some more help for our residents, okay? So that's my contention. I've only been here a few months, a couple of months maybe, okay? So, like he said,
To answer your question, your first question, Commissioner, there's HIPAA laws that I cannot violate. I asked him for permission this week, yesterday, to bring it up today. There's HIPAA laws that I cannot violate.
that's fine.
And
I
that's why we
understand
cannot
that.
discuss any of that in this open session.
Okay,
Because he gave me permission to discuss it directly with the commission and only with the commission.
well,
Okay.
my apologies, but we got to move forward.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right. Motion carries. Item 4 is a public hearing to solicit comments from the public for or against the adoption of the City of Harlingen's annual budget for the fiscal year 2022.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. I will be going,
You mind if I do this?
no, sure.
I'm sure Robert would have done an excellent job. But after several meetings with department heads, drafting the budget, 3 workshops with the city council, we are very proud to present the fiscal year 2022 budget. This is a public hearing only, and we will bring it back on the 15th for action of the budget itself. So what we are proposing is a estimated fund balance at the end of 2021, of this fiscal year, of $23,449,000. Proposed revenues, $49,778,844, and proposed expenditures, $51,637,665. We have 1.8 coming out of fund balance for one-time expenses, and we're estimating our fund balance at the end of 2022 at $21,590,364 or 153 days of operation. The budget goals for this year meet the budget goals set by the City Council. $2.5 million set for street maintenance. We're going to purchase another street sweeper. Obviously, we need that. We're going to set aside some funding for some speed humps. We are funding some drainage improvements directly with some grant funding, but also through some city funding. We're going to enhance public safety with police operations. We're going to buy some equipment for the fire department. We're going to improve our citywide level of service for public safety. We're going to also construct bathrooms at our downtown area that was approved by the city commission. We're going to improve lighting at Centennial Park. And we are going to fund salary and benefit increases for our fire at 3%, for fire department, 3% for our police department, and 3% for all other city employees. Non-recurring one-time purchases. For police operations, we have a data recovery server at $37,000. Police services, we have a rack kit. Please don't ask me what that is. $19,000. We have 12 air packs for fire department at $72,000. Rewires station generators for the fire department at $40,000. We have some drill field drafting equipment at $20,000 for fire. Some extrication tools from fire suppression, $33,200. We have a rover package, a GPS system for our engineering department, $40,000. Traffic signal maintenance, some control boards, $23,000. Some traffic cabinets, $26,000. And some upgrades to 2 traffic signals intersections at 13th and Business 77 and 7th and Business 77 for a total of $12,924. We're also going to buy a paint mixer for street maintenance, $5,500. Speed hump allocation, again, there it is, $60,000. Crack seal machine, $87,932. Currently, we rent one, and so we're going to be purchasing one, and then we're going to be buying the materials that go into the machine. Street cleanings, we're going to purchase a new street sweeper, as we talked about earlier, $272,000. We're going to buy a sod cutter for the athletics fields for our parks department, $8,720. We're going to buy 2 ATVs for our parks department, $26,108. 5 27-inch aluminum bleachers for Victor Park, $18,122. Of course, the bathrooms for downtown, you see the $300,000 there, and Centennial Park lighting, $50,000. And we are in the midst of hiring an architect to design the bathrooms. Swimming pools, shade structures for Victor Park, $15,000. Animal control, replace one of the units, $25,000. Building inspections by a unit, also $23,000. 25 and 23, I'm sorry, respectively. Public buildings, chiller replacement, $97,145. That building gets used quite a bit for rentals. Fire station number 4, we're going to replace a condensing unit, $19,833. The public building police department, we're going to replace an HVAC system, $8,000. LED light poles at PD, $8,160. New Hampshire communication tower generator, $23,811. That needs to be replaced. Communication tower battery backups, $6,564. Some security camera systems for our municipal court, $22,251. Some backup system for the MIS department, $10,188. The email server as backup system for our MIS department, $15,000. And cost of opening the Executive 9, that's $160. That's a one-time expense for a total of $1.585 million in non-recurring one-time expenses. New positions being funded in next year's budget has been discussed with the City Commission. City Secretary, Administrative Secretary. We have a grant specialist. We have an MIS specialist for our IT department. We have 3 full-time positions for the communication center for our fire department. We have a booking officer. We have a groundskeeper. What we're doing with the groundskeepers, we are converting 8 part-time to 4 full-time positions. That's minimal cost there, but it is a great benefit to us. Our parks, we've been expanding our park system. We're expanding more and more of our traffic signal medians. Traffic medians. And so what we want to do a better job of maintaining those. Health Department, another animal control officer. Our city continues to grow. Golf course, we're hiring 4 part-time positions to help maintain the 9 holes. And Sanitation Department, an additional administrative secretary and another solid waste driver. Proposed revenues, $49,778,844 for the general fund. Sales tax, you see there, $20,148,756 projected for sales tax. Property tax, 19,566,763. You see the other revenue sources there for a total of $49,778,844. So in comparison to last year, you can see the difference there. We have an increase in property taxes of $376,796, and sales taxes we're increasing projections by $778,916. We're projecting an increase in sales tax to about 4%. And I won't go through the rest of these, but total proposed general fund revenue for next year is $49,778,844. Expenditures, $51,637,665. You can see the breakdown. 69% is personnel services, capital outlays 3%, financing and incentives 6%, service charges is 18%, and then 4% for supplies. So the breakdown for police services on personnel cost for general fund, 69% goes to public safety, and that is police and fire. You see the breakdown there in public works and the remaining departments of the city for the general fund, totaling $35,762,653, and that is for general fund only. The comparison on the expenditure budget, that this current year we're at 25.6, next year we're 26.5. That's inclusive of all the one-time expenses and different costs at $904,000 over the current year. And this is the breakdown, $51,637,665. This is a special revenue funds. It's tennis court, the hotel motel catastrophic emergency fund. All those total revenue are $24,215,600 and expenditures at $23,562,282. On the enterprise funds, that is the municipal auditorium, the sanitation department, arts and heritage museum, and the golf course. So revenues projected for all those enterprise funds is $11,879,105. Expenditures, I did say revenue, right? Expenditures $13,587,608, with $1.688 coming out of the sanitation department fund balance, but you still see that they have a healthy fund balance at 9.8. The golf course, you see it there. We balanced the budget. We did transfer a one-time expense. That includes a one-time cost of $160,000. We transferred $443 from the general fund. The internal services funds, that's a motor vehicle warehouse and the health insurance. Revenue is projected at $9,577,413. Expenditures $9,176,529. Total for next year's budget being proposed, revenues $95,450,962. Expenditures $97,964,084. And that is our presentation for next year's budget. You will see this presentation again on the 15th. Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone who signed up for the public hearing?
Yes, Mayor, Mr. Ron Lozano, and he's present.
All right, please come to the podium, state your name and your address, and you have 2
Ron
minutes.
Lozano, I think at the very end there, the city manager will agree, he stopped, and was this an increase or a decrease on those parentheses? Are you short or are you surplus?
We are using fund balance to cover the one-time expenses.
Well, there's a parenthesis that I just referred to. Does that say 2,500,000, 513,000?
You have an opportunity to speak, and you can speak.
I'm speaking right now in English,
You don't have-
and
if
I'm
it's
going to
not-
continue to do
staff
so.
really doesn't have
And
to
I'm,
answer your
Mr.
question.
Sedna, you don't have that much money then, right? You're short $2.5 million.
With all the funds. With general fund, special revenue, enterprise fund, internal services, all the funds.
You're short? Is that why it's in parentheses?
Yes, we use fund balance for one-time expenses.
All right, thank you. That's what I wanted to let the mayor know, in case he doesn't know what parentheses are and how they apply to a budget. Thank you very much, Mayor. And also, you know very well that if an agenda is set up 72 hours ahead, so long as there's not an emergency like is going on in Louisiana right now, which you've utilized it on New Year's Eve in the past,
You're out of order.
There-
because you need to
I'm
be
just
talking-
talking,
you need to
I'm
be
talking within my
about the
allotted
budget.
time, but you
need
got
to
the
be talking
point.
about the budget.
You got the point that you were out of
We're
order.
going to go on to item 5, which is a public hearing to consider an ordinance on second reading for the voluntary annexation of 1.47 acres of land being the right-of-way of Dilworth Road commencing at the northwest corner of Block 1 of Emil A. Johnson subdivision recorded in Volume 11, page 49, map records of Cameron County. Applicant is Cameron County.
Mayor, City Commissioners, good evening. Annexations require 2 public hearings. This is the annexation that we've been discussing, the voluntary annexation of Dilworth Road and the proposed Serenity State subdivision. So state law requires a second public hearing, so that's why.
All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to speak for or against the public, this item? Is there anyone who's signed up for this item?
No, Mayor. No,
All right. There being no one who signed up for the item in accordance with the rules, and there being no one who's asking to be recognized, I'll close the public hearing and go to item B, which is consideration of possible action to approve an ordinance on second reading for the voluntary annexation of 1.47 acres of land being the right-of-way of Dilworth Road commencing at the northwest corner of Block 1 of Emil A. Johnson subdivision recorded in Volume 11, page 49. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion approved.
Oh, second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Would you like me to
Aye.
read the caption?
She needs to read the caption.
Go ahead.
The caption, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Chief, to read the caption.
An ordinance extending the corporate limits of the city of Harlingen through annexation of a 1.47 acres of land being the right-of-way of Dilworth Road, commencing at the northwest corner of Block 1 of Emil A. Johnson subdivision, recorded in Volume 11, page 49, map records of Cameron County, binding the land to all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of the city, approving a service plan, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Okay. Would you like to remake the motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 6, public hearing to consider an ordinance on second reading for the voluntary annexation and establish the initial zoning to residential single-family R1 district for the proposed Serenity Estates subdivision located on the west side of Dilworth Road, south of Garrett Road. The applicant is Graham Lee Smith, Jennifer Barnetsky Smith.
Yes, we need to
Okay.
have a public hearing again. Now it's for the subdivision,
Okay.
and then adopt the ordinance.
Go to the public hearing. Is there anyone who signed up for the public hearing? Is there anyone who'd like to speak for or against this rezoning or annexation, rather? Seeing no one wishing to be recognized, no one being signed up, I'll close the public hearing. Item B, consideration of possible action to approve an ordinance on second reading for the voluntary annexation and establish the initial zoning to residential single-family R1 district for the proposed Serenity Estates subdivision located on the west side of Dilworth Road, south of Garrett Road.
She needs to.
Read the caption, please.
An ordinance extending the corporate limits of the city of Harlingen by annexing, for full purposes, the proposed Serenity Estates subdivision located on the west side of Dilworth Road, south of Garrett Road, and establishing the initial zoning to residential single-family district, binding the land to all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of the city, approving an annexation services agreement, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 7, public hearing to consider an ordinance of first reading for a special use permit to allow a portable building greater than 144 square feet in a single-family residential R1 district located at 1701 Dixieland Road, bearing a legal description of Lot 1, Block 1, Alamo School subdivision. The applicant, HCISD.
Yes, Mayor, this is a special use permit that is normally processed administratively, but we received a complaint from a surrounding property owner, so we had to schedule public hearings. This is for a portable building right in the middle of Harlingen South High School for classrooms. That's the layout of the proposed portable building, and here you have the track. So it's just east of the east of the racetrack, kind of right in the middle of the high school. That's the picture of the proposed portable building to be located at the site. And that's the aerial photo showing this is the location where they're proposing to place the portable building. Staff recommends approval of the special use permit, subject to keeping the parking spaces and the landscaping and complying with all the requirements from planning, building inspections, and fire prevention. This went before the Planning and Zoning Commission on August 11th, and no one spoke in opposition to the SUP request. After some discussion, the commission expressed concern about the proposed time frame for the duration of the portable building in the property. The commission unanimously recommended approval of the SUP, subject to the list of requirements and with the condition that it be allowed for 1 year only, and the drainage requirements for a 25-year storm. And there's an official from the school district here to speak during the public hearing.
All right, I'll go to item 8, which is the public hearing. Is there anyone who signed up for this to speak on this?
Not for this one, Mayor,
So-
but I understand that there's somebody here that was supposed to speak.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, Mr. Serna, audience. The school district is requesting permission to put a portable building. I know typically P&Z likes to put a 1-year limit and then to re-review. We would like to ask for additional. I believe the City Commission can go up to 3 years longer. It costs a lot of money to move a portable building, to disconnect, to move, to reconnect, put sidewalks, canopies, fire alarm, PA systems, computer data, security, the electrical power. Just all costs a lot of money to have it just for 1 year. It's really not, we believe, is a wise expense of taxpayers' money, so we would like to extend it for 3 years. The portable that you saw there is at our current early college high school. It's been there for 6-7 years. It served its purpose. We're building a new school, so when it should be finished here in the next month or so. When we move the school and the students, those portables will no longer be needed. So we're moving one here, one to the Harlingen High School, and one to the Secondary Alternative Center. Those two didn't receive opposition, so those two are going with no restrictions. The one at Secondary Alternative Center, we're replacing an old dilapidated portable. We're trying to improve the sightliness of the school. So we don't want unsightly portables either, so we're trying to move the nice ones, get rid of the old ones.
Repurposing them.
So which 1 year limit it just doesn't sit well with the district as a condition. So we'd like City Commission to extend 3 years or even longer if possible. I think the City Commission does have authority to overrule P&Z in certain capacity, as they are advisory in nature only. So that's what the school district's request. I'm here on behalf of our superintendent of schools and the school board, and we'd like for you to consider our request. Thank you.
Does that require a 4/5 vote? Or is that a simple majority?
Simple majority.
I'll motion to approve in the line of the extension.
Well, I need to close the public hearing,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
and I need to ask the city attorney to read the caption. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak for or against this SUP? All right, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask the city attorney to read the caption.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Harlingen to issue a special use permit to Harlingen CISD to allow a portable building greater than 144 square feet in a single-family residential district located at 1701 Dixieland Road, bearing a legal description of Lot 1, Block 1, Alamo School subdivision, and dealing with related matters.
Now, is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Quick question. I can abstain? I'm just saying because I work there, like I literally work there, so I don't want any, and it's an SUP. I know I'm not, I just would feel more comfortable with that.
You can abstain if you wish. That'll be treated as a no.
Okay.
I'd like to make the motion to go ahead and approve it, but is that correct? We can give them a max of 3 year?
Yes, you could approve it for a 3-year time frame. So what we will do is we will adjust the ordinance for your second reading, and you'll say 3 years instead of 1 year.
I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yeah,
All
second.
right, we have a motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign.
Abstain.
Motion carries. Item 8, public hearing to consider an ordinance on first reading for a special use permit to allow an adult business in a general retail district located at 401 South 77 Sunshine Strip, Suite D, bearing a legal description of the east 2 feet of Lot 1 and all of lots 2 through 6, Block 3, Windsor Place subdivision, applicant Tucker Guerrero.
Yes, Mayor, this is a proposed tattoo shop that requires a special use permit. This is at the Commercial Plaza at the corner of Tyler and Sunshine Street, where the Papa John's is located. This is the site plan. It's in a barber shop, and the barber shop is subleasing part of the barber shop for the proposed tattoo shop. And that's the barber shop that I was telling you about. That's the Commercial Plaza where Papa John's is located. Aerial photo. Staff recommends approval, subject to compliance with the street parking, maintain the landscaping, get all the state permits, and comply with all the department requirements. This went before Planning and Zoning Commission on August 11, and no one spoke in opposition to the SUP request, but they approved it for 1 year only because there's a bar in that same Commercial Plaza. So because of the proximity to the bar, they recommended just a 1 year special use permit. That will come back before you in 1 year, and if there's no issues, then you could renew it for another year or just make it for the life of the use.
Okay, we're going to go to the public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Has anyone signed up? No one signed up. Is there anyone who'd like to speak for or against this SUP? This gentleman, please come forward. State your name and your residence.
Hi, my name is Tucker Guerrero. I'm actually the applicant trying to get this tattoo studio going. I just want to start my own thing, to be honest. I'm ready. I've been tattooing for 7 years, going on 8 in October. I've been with Underground Tattoos in San Benito. I'm just a year is fine with me. If I get permission to. But after that, I do want to branch out and go to a better place in Harlingen, for sure. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak for or against this SUP? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. I'll go to item B, which is consideration of possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading for a special use permit to allow an adult business tattoo studio in a general retail district located at 401 South 77 Sunshine Strip, Suite D, bearing a legal description of the east 10 feet of Lot 1 and all of lots 2 through 6, Block 3, Windsor Place subdivision. I would ask the city attorney to read the caption, please.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Harlingen to issue a special use permit to Tucker Guerrero to allow an adult business tattoo studio in a general retail district located at 401 South 77 Sunshine Strip, Suite D, bearing a legal description of the east 10 feet of Lot 1 and all of lots 2 through 6, Block 3, Windsor Place subdivision, and dealing with related matters.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Item 9, public hearing to consider an ordinance on first reading for a special use permit to allow an adult business microblading studio in a general retail GR district located at 1209 West Tyler Avenue, bearing a legal description of west 1/2 of Lot 7, Block 2, LID and LIS subdivision. The applicant is Ashley Salgado.
Yes, Mayor, this is another adult business. This one is Microblading. It's on Tyler, just west of K Street. It's right after Taqueria El Zarape. That's the floor plan for the proposed microblading. It's a portion of this building, and there's like a suite over here, and that's where the microblading is proposed. This building is now green. They painted it. That's the aerial photo. It's a small building. Staff recommends approval, subject to state permits, parking and landscaping requirements from the different departments. This went before Planning and Zoning Commission August 11. No one spoke in opposition, and they recommended approval subject to the list of requirements.
Okay, we'll go to the public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Has anyone signed up for the public hearing? Is there anyone that'd like to speak for or against this SUP? All right, no one seeking to be recognized. I'll close the public hearing. Item B is consideration of possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading for a special use permit to allow an adult business microblading studio in a general retail GR district located at 1209 West Tyler Avenue, bearing a legal description of west one half of Lot 7, Block 2, LID and LIS subdivision. And yes, please read the caption.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Harlingen to issue a special use permit to Ashley Salgado to allow an adult business microblading studio in a general retail district located at 1209 West Tyler Avenue, bearing a legal description of west half of Lot 7, Block 2, Lead and Lease subdivision, and dealing with related matters.
All right, is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Item 10, consideration and possible action to grant a variance to exceed the maximum 25 lot requirement of cul-de-sac for the proposed Palm Valley Heights subdivision, bearing a legal description of 10 acres of land, being the west 10 acres of the west, 20 acres of the northeast, 60 acres of the Gulf Coast and Santa Fe Survey number 140, located on the south side of Wilson Road, west of Stewart Place Road. Applicant Dustin Moore of Moorland Surveying.
Yes, Mayor, this is a proposed variance to the subdivision ordinance. This does not require a public hearing. This is the proposed, the property for the variance request is a proposed subdivision for single-family homes. It's along Wilson Road, on the south side of Wilson Road, west of Stewart Place Road. And that's the property where the subdivision is developing in the near future. That's the view from Wilson Road. And this is the layout of the proposed subdivision. If you notice, they're complying. Last year we amended the subdivision ordinance, and now we require 50 feet of frontage on all lots, including cul-de-sac lots, so they're complying with that new regulation. But the ordinance limits, on subdivisions like this, it limits you to 25 lots, and they're asking for one additional lot. Because otherwise you end up with a lot in the middle of the cul-de-sac here, and this house.
By doing that, are they making the drainage, does it affect drainage at all?
No, the drainage
So
requirements are
It's not
the.
a situation about drainage, or they're
No, it's just
less
to.
runoff, or whatever the
No.
issue was with the last issue I had with the one off the expressway, right? Because they were moving, and it was gonna create a weaker drainage, right?
Yeah, no.
And that road is one of those roads that really floods.
Yes.
So what are we, how are we protecting the people that are gonna buy those homes to make sure it's not, that there are proper restrictions in place so that we don't get flooding?
Yes, this,
with brand new
if you remember, last year we updated the subdivision ordinance and we upgraded the drainage requirements. So this subdivision falls under the new ordinance.
So can
Yes.
you give me an example of things that we're requiring now that are gonna help with that? Because,
Yes.
you know, there's that stretch from Gutierrez all the way to Stewart Place that you can not drive through that, right? And you have all those homes that have been underwater. And this is on the right-hand side of that, correct? If you're heading towards Stewart. How you know, did we improve some drainage as TxDOT, or what is done to protect that?
Yes, we're getting subdivisions now because of the new ordinance where that are showing detention areas that we didn't have before. Now, the engineer for this subdivision is here, and he could explain what the drainage is for this
Are
specific.
you the engineer?
Mr. Moore, would you like to address would you like to try to answer the question?
No, so for this site, we're widening the existing ditch on the west side and the south side, and we're providing the on-channel detention. The volume of on-channel we're providing, I don't know the exact numbers, it's on the scale of 2 to 3 times more than what is required. And we are also raising the site up about 2 feet.
Okay.
So that way the houses, and when in the 2019 flood, which would have been the worst one recently, we shot in that water surface that was across Wilson. And so we're elevating the whole site, and we're also setting all the finished floors.
So to
above that
reiterate my
elevation.
question on that, the added lot is just more uniformity, not
Correct.
not the drainage.
The developer, through their past experience, they don't like the idea of the one house right in the middle of the cul-de-sac getting headlights every
Right.
car that's coming down. That's just their reason for
Right.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what will happen. You end up with a lot
In
right
the center.
there. So that house gets the light at night from all the, so that's what they're trying to avoid. The drainage requirements will be the same regardless.
Right, that's all I have.
All right. Is there a motion to
Motion.
Second.
approve the variance? Okay, there we have a motion and a second to approve the variance. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. We've already addressed item 11. Item 12 is the consideration of possible action to approve a resolution accepting Valley International Airport's adopted budget for fiscal year 2021 through 2022.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. Just want to let you know that on August 20th, the Airport Board had approved the proposed fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. We included the details in your package. I did bring our finance director for the airport here to go through it in detail if you wish, and we can do that. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to take them as well.
Does anybody have any questions for Barbara about the budget?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to approve the budget?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 13, consideration possible action to award RFQ 2021-14 professional engineering services for the City of Harlingen American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 drainage improvement projects to 3 professional engineering firms with demonstrated competence, and authorize the city manager to enter into a master professional services contract with such firm. Carlos?
Mayor, Commissioners, good afternoon. If you all recall, back in May, you all allocated a portion of the monies that we received under the America Rescue Plan. Around $6 million were allocated for different projects within the city of Harlingen. What we've done is we've gone out and solicited requests for qualifications from engineering firms that have expertise in drainage design. And so what we're bringing before you is those, the ranking that was done by staff based on the RFQs that were advertised. 11 firms submitted or responded to our with a response packet. The selection criteria, I'd like to go through it really quick if you all don't mind. Well, let me touch base really quick on the introduction, or as far as what we were looking for is the projects that have been identified. Most of those are under the 2000 Master Drainage Plan. And again, all these qualifications, all these rules and instructions were provided to the consultants. Major components that we're looking at them designing, one has to do with that detention pond that we're looking at there off of Lozano. That detention pond may or may not require a lift station, a stormwater lift station, and then various different infrastructure, stormwater infrastructure that that's associated, not just for that one project, but other projects throughout the city. So then part of the scope of work then deals with, or we're looking at individuals or firms that have these capabilities. I'm not going to go through them here, but they're all in the packet that you all received. The selection criteria, like I mentioned, it was a total ranking score of 100 points. The members of the evaluation committee were staff members, including myself, city engineer Andy Vixtel, the assistant city engineer Kimberly Salinas, and the public works director Rigo Davila. There were 7 criteria points that the respondent packets were reviewed on. And so, like we mentioned in the past, some of these items are subjective. And so in some areas, we look for the respondents' ability and documentation in the respondent packet that they've addressed these items. If they did not make reference to them in the packet, well, then it was difficult for us to score them, even though we may know them on a professional level. We may know that they have the capabilities, but if they did not respond or put it in writing, then it was difficult for us to give them full credit.
So may I ask a question? This is not the same award that we gave, the last one was.
CSE, no, sir. I think you mentioned earlier that the Flood Infrastructure Fund, that's the $6.2 million flood study that's being done at a regional level.
Okay, that's different from this?
Yes, sir.
What, can you,
That funding for that flood study comes from the Texas Water Development Board, and that's more for a drainage study. This is for actual infrastructure type of construction plans. We're seeking the assistance from engineering firms to build or to develop those construction plans so we can go out for construction.
But CSE is the one that we're dealing with the other study, right? The
Yes,
flood
sir.
study. Are they not capable of doing the infrastructure? Because here's my thinking, wouldn't it be wise to use the same company that prepared the plans to do the work, or?
Well, these are projects, well, I see where you're coming from as far as CSE did the master drainage plan, but over time, again, there was 58 or so projects that were identified, but they weren't designed to the point where you have all the construction documents ready to go as far as detail and so forth. So
Right.
the
We set aside $6 million for drainage improvements, and these engineers would help us develop the plans and specs to move forward with those $6 million with the drainage improvements. That's not the drainage study, the $6 million drainage study, two different pools. of
Right,
money.
two different pools of money, but same work, right? One affects the other?
The study of $6 million will take approximately 3 years.
Oh, these are projects that are doing like right now?
Right now.
We want to do projects right now.
Okay, that makes sense, okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry, go on.
And so to conclude, Mayor, Commissioners, again, the ranking sheet is in your packet. We, as staff, are recommending that you authorize us to enter into master service agreements. We refer them to as master service agreements because then we would work with them on a statement of work type of process, meaning that more as projects come up, as our additional projects come with additional funding that might be identified through the America Rescue Plan, then we don't have to go through this process again as far as soliciting RFQs. We have those individuals that we can add additional work to, or not individuals, but additional firms.
So you're basically promising work?
Uh,
Are we voting on giving them a project right now?
No.
Okay. Why would we do that?
So what we're doing is
Because circumstances change, right? The ranking of number one, number two may have the ability to do it right now, but in 6 months from now, or if something comes up, they may not have the priority, they may have other work.
That's correct, sir. And for that reason, we're going with the master service agreement. Master service agreement from a procurement type process allows us to be able to negotiate a scope of work. That scope of work will take into consideration their ability, and it's part of the requirements here, that they be able to respond and have a set of plans ready within 60 to 90 days. And so if I sit down with firm A and they tell me, no, we can't do it, or it's too expensive, then I have the liberty, or staff has the liberty, to go to firm B, and then we negotiate with them the scope of work and the fee.
Well, I would think that the process of getting grant money and all that stuff is a long, tedious one. I would think you would have time to do it on a case-by-case basis, based on the need of that we need, who is available. They may be doing a job and they don't perform well. I mean, we're having an issue right now with the service that's problematic. So I would have a hard time saying, but I promised that guy work on a scope of work for the next whatever?
No, it would be per project specific. For example, and I don't have it here to put it on the screen, but 3 projects that were identified under the ARPA funds. The first one was that detention pond there off of Lozano. That would be one project that we would negotiate, say, with Firm 1 and get that scope of work, identify a fee, and then we give them a letter to commence on that design. Project number 2 that you all identified and agreed to is the Commerce Street Drainage Project, and that's to go in there and rehab the system, look at the outfall, reconstruct the outfall structure, and that would be, say, we go to firm number 2. So at that point, we have 2 projects being designed concurrently with 2 different firms. Project number 3 or firm number 3, we would look at doing improvements on the drainage canals. For example, that there's a pipe that needs to be increased along that canal off of FM 800.
Is this model used like in other cities, like in McAllen and Brownsville, and do they use this kind of model to award work?
Yes, sir. They have a rotating type of engineering services contract
So
in
it's
McAllen.
It's common and it works, in your experience, it works?
It works because it facilitates us to be able to respond to needs. For example, this design or this pipe failure that we've experienced here recently off of 918 Ebony. We need an engineer to be able to design. We're doing that one in-house, but we're stopping what the department was doing to be able to address that. And so we're able to.
This gives you the ability to work on
Provides
the
the
fly.
staff, provides the staff with flexibility to move quickly so that we can get these plans in place, so that we can take advantage of the grant money that we're receiving.
That's correct, Mayor. And
Is there a motion to award the professional engineering services as recommended by the staff?
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
One question. So you're not going to award just one company all the work?
No,
Is that
sir.
correct?
No.
You're just going to stick to the top 3, or you're going to go down the list?
Well, the recommendation is to go with the top 3. Now, it's all up to you if you want to.
I would recommend you do the top 5. That's a lot of companies up there. And that gives you a lot more flexibility, because I think they're all reputable companies. And you don't want to, I would highly recommend you go at least top 4, if not.
Me personally, I would go with anybody above 90.0.
How much?
90.0.
Anything above a 90?
If we approve this, you have the option to do that, right?
Yes, sir. It's, at your direction, we can go with all the firms that rank 90 or above.
I can go with that. I'll second that one.
Okay.
Well, there's a motion on the table already. And he'll have to amend his motion, or he'll have
Would you
to
like to
withdraw
amend
his
your motion?
motion.
Yes, amended. Amended to include any engineering company that has 90 or above.
I'll second that.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just.
Do you think this is going to be workable with 8 firms instead of 3?
Yes, sir. I think, and I was going to ask, I'm sorry, for clarification as far as how we're going to move forward is that we'll start with the top ranked, by score, and then rotate them in that sequence.
Yeah, well, like what I mean is that you don't have to go, in other words, if you need them, they're available, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Now, there might be firms that have a specialty, say, in, I don't know, in structures or a lift station or whatnot. We'd like to have that flexibility to move that work to that other firm, again, based on.
And we're giving it to you. Are we giving that to you?
That would be, yes.
Okay,
yes.
do you incorporate
what I would
those
think-
staff comments into your
Yes,
motion?
I amend
All
for
right,
the
and
staff
do you
comments.
accept those,
Well, what I want to make sure I get clarification on what Mr. Morales is saying is that we want to make sure we don't exclude the bottom half of that. As long as they meet the criteria of 90 or above, they have an opportunity to be in that rotation. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I can do that.
But he's also just clarifying that he needs the flexibility to go to firms with a specialty in
Scope of
certain
work, yes,
areas.
I understand.
So if number 8 is on the rotation, but they don't have, and they're
And
not.
I would refer to the staff on that. So I just want to give you the flexibility that you need.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Item 14, consideration of possible action amending Exhibit A of ordinance number 2018-1 and Chapter 18 Master Fee Schedule of the Harlingen Code of Ordinances establishing new rental rates for food and vendor booths for market days.
Mayor, members of the commission, as you know, staff is working on creating market days on Van Buren, and this ordinance would actually allow us to charge for the booth rentals. We've established a rate of $40 for that, and food vendors for $60, which is comparable with what's being charged on Jackson Street. Again, this would be from Van Buren, from D Street to Southwest, and from West Street all the way down to West Jackson. Staff recommends approval. Be happy to answer questions if you may have.
Is that fee per event?
Yes, once a month, first Saturday of every month. Yes, sir.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Just to read it.
Those opposed, like
I'll
sign.
read the caption, Mayor. An ordinance amending Exhibit A of Ordinance Number 2018-1, Master Fee Schedule of the Harlingen Code of Ordinances establishing new rental rates for vendor and food booths for market days, providing for publication, and ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion approved.
Motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Item 15, consideration of possible action to approve a memorandum of understanding between the City of Harlingen and the Harlingen Consolidated Independent School District Board of Education for the City of Harlingen Wi-Fi broadband program. Gabe?
Mayor, members of the commission, the school district has already approved the attached MOU where they agreed to pay up to 50% of the cost for the study for an amount not to exceed $62,500. Staff recommends approval of the MOU.
Motion to approve.
I want to motion with that, but make sure that we match the same 62, I mean, whatever they're matching is what we match, and I don't want to pay any more.
Yes,
than
sir, that's-
what they're doing.
That's the plan.
Is there
Second.
a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 16, consideration and possible action to establish a COVID-19 vaccine incentive program.
Mayor, Commissioners, good afternoon again. This program, again, is another tool that we are proposing to have in our, arsenal as far as our COVID-19 response efforts. And this to mitigate the impact that we are currently experiencing. As you all may know or heard in the news, there is another surge of COVID, and the majority of the individuals that are being admitted to the ICU, about 90% or so are unvaccinated individuals. And so we are looking at your authorization to start a program or implement a program that would help us incentivize individuals, and with the hopes of that this will turn some of that trend that we're currently seeing. As you all can see here from this graphic, this is our current status as far as the number of cases here in Cameron County. The numbers are very similar to what we were seeing even last summer and numbers in early or late last year or so. Number of deaths is increasing. Yesterday's numbers, August 31st, the Cameron County Health Department reported an additional 150 cases and 13 deaths in our community. Again, majority of those were unvaccinated individuals. And so the from a vaccination rate, one would say we're doing great. We have the majority of our categories have exceeded 70% or so vaccination rates, with the exception of fully vaccinated individuals here for kids 12 to 15. The range is around 52% or so. But good news is that at least 78% of them have at least one vaccine. So we want to close that rate or make it as high as possible, as 90% as feasible with this program. And so real quick, the couple components, and again, this is a proposal for you all to consider and modify as you would like, is to do a $50 gift card incentive for receiving the first dose. It could be the Pfizer, Moderna, or J&J, Johnson & Johnson. And you would have to have received the first dose between today, September 1st, and October 31st. Individual, we are saying it must reside in Cameron County. And as you all know, Cameron County has a similar program for individuals 12 to 18, targeted mostly for students. We are, in essence, trying to foolproof that in that you can't do a duplication, meaning that if you get the benefit from the county, you won't come to Harlingen or vice versa. We want everybody vaccinated. The expansion of our program is that we are going above and beyond the age of 18, so that if a parent brings their kids, the whole family can get vaccinated, and they have the opportunity to benefit financially from that too.
Have you thought about incentivizing the people that did get the vaccination? Because the money's coming from where?
So the money is coming from the monies, again, that we have received through the America Rescue Plan.
So have you thought about rewarding the ones that have gotten vaccinated? Because don't you think that sends a bad message saying, you know what, you didn't get vaccinated, but now I'm going to pay you to go do it. I mean, if saving your life's not a good enough reason to get vaccinated, and they need an extra, like they need money as an option. Have you? It's just a question saying, what can we do for the community that of either like throw a concert or throw some kind of a city event that's free and open to the public, and we have of those who have been vaccinated. I mean, that's my question.
One thing that we had thought or kind of bounced around was do a refer a friend type of a program, meaning that if you as an individual that's already gotten the vaccine can gain from this program by bringing additional people to get vaccinated. That's the way you could benefit out of it.
I mean, I just think
we're trying to motivate the final few people that just for whatever reason. Some of them don't want to get it, but some of them just haven't made the time to get it. So we're trying to motivate the people who haven't made the time to get it. Right now, our hospitals are completely full. Our ICU units are completely full. And the people who are getting it are sicker than they've ever been. This is the worst that it's ever been in terms of what they call the acuity of the disease. And so they're very, very sick when they get it. So if offering them $50, we've got money that we were given by the federal government and to do things like this. Cameron County is doing it with 12 to 18-year-olds, and so this is an idea that the staff came up with to try to encourage more people to get vaccinated. I mean, it's not, yes, everybody should get vaccinated. No, we shouldn't have to pay a bounty, but if paying people to come out and get vaccinated will get a few more people vaccinated, that's probably good for our community, and it's certainly going to tamp down some of those people that are going into our hospitals, because it's not just, remember, when the hospital's full and the staff is overloaded, that means if you have a heart attack or you have your loved one has some sort of an emergency care issue, everything is overloaded, and it impacts the people that don't have COVID as well and that need to go to the hospital. So this is just another effort to try to get people motivated to get vaccinated.
So here's just a thought by looking at that flyer. Why don't you do it once they get the second vaccine? Because what's the incentive to get it after the first one? Are you going to pay them for both things?
No, sir, the idea was to go with the first.
But, you know, it doesn't really take effect really to the second one?
To the second one.
Actually, from what I've read, because I've done a lot of reading on this, most of the time,
Yeah, I wish Mike was here.
most of the time, when people get the first vaccine, the chances are that they're going to get the second one because they've already got the first one. They got the initial fear out of it, so they're going to get the second. I think this is a great idea.
I know, I think it's a great idea too, but again, looking at that, in my experience, that second shot is the one that really, that hurts a little bit more than the first one.
That's true, but I think this is, remember, the ones that haven't got the vaccine yet are the
I
ones.
understand the intent, I do,
Okay.
I do. I just want to make sure that we don't put ourselves where they don't go get that second one, right? Because the idea is hopefully they get fully vaccinated, right?
Yeah, but there's only certain things we can control, and then a lot of people, what they want is we want to get them actually there. If the $50 gets them there, they're there, and hopefully they'll go get the second. We hope that they do, but the point is they got the first one, and they'll at least have a little bit of protection.
Okay, so here's another question that goes to my mind. What about offering incentive to get a booster when the booster starts coming out for the people that have been vaccinated? Have you thought about that? Because, you know, I think those are going to come out in the next month or two, right? I think they're working on that,
This
to
month,
actually have a
yes.
booster, to bolster.
Well, Dr. Castillo reported this morning about boosters, and with regard to Moderna, he's suggesting that we hold off because apparently the data now he reported this morning is that the Moderna has a much higher dose of antibodies, and it seems to be lasting longer. So if you get the booster too soon, people are getting sick with it. So he's saying, you know, just hold off. So that, according to our county health authority, he's saying we need to just sort of hold off on boosters,
Okay.
at least with the Moderna for the time being. So I think that's something that's premature right now.
Okay, do you have a budget in mind on what that's going to cost, or how much money you're going to spend?
So again,
Or how much money you're putting aside?
we have identified some surplus funds from other programs that haven't utilized the entire money that was allocated to them for under this program. And so we are requesting up to $100,000 for this.
And do my math, how much is that? How many shots is that?
2,000.
It's a lot.
2,000.
2,000?
Motion
That's a
to,
lot.
can I make a motion?
Is there a motion to?
Motion to approve the program.
I just had one question. I'm going to approve it. I agree. I just had one question. The locations, where are the locations going to be?
Yes, sir. So one thing I failed to mention is that
Because I know those were from Cameron County, right?
Cameron County, we've talked to Cameron County, spoke with Esmer Guajardo, and they are willing to work with us as far as if the individual goes to a Cameron County clinic, gets the shot there, they can then forward that paperwork to us here at the city, and then we would be the one that would distribute that gift card.
Okay.
For individuals 18 and
over.
But we would also give out gift cards at our vaccine clinic.
Okay, yeah, so we're still going to have clinics and the drive-throughs and all that stuff?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
And the intent isn't to incentivize anyone. We're only going to come out of this pandemic if people get vaccinated. And so we're trying to encourage those last few to get their vaccine.
I agree.
Okay,
100%.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, say
Aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Item 17, consideration of possible action to adopt a long-term strategic vision created by the City Commission during the two-day retreat held at the Harlingen Convention Center.
Mayor, Commissioners, as you know, we spent a day and a half at the Convention Center with the City Council and a consultant. We also had the chairman from the Waterworks Board, Airport Board, 4B Board, and 4A Board, EDC Board, more well-known as. But it was a great day and a half, a lot of discussion, a lot of input from the City Commission and the board members. And what we ended up with is the document that's in your packet. So staff is recommending formal approval of this strategy priorities or strategic priorities. Number one, build infrastructure, expand education opportunities, expand manufacturing, promote healthcare industry, and promote quality of life. The staff will be having a workshop next week, Friday, to develop milestones that we will implement to achieve the goals set by the City Council. Staff is recommending approval, and also like to thank the city commissioners for their participation this 1 day and a half strategic planning session. It was a real good session, a lot of great exchange of ideas.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the long-term
Motion.
strategic vision? We have a motion?
And I second it.
We have a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Item 18, consideration and appropriate action on first reading of an ordinance amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances by providing for the ability to assess a lien on properties subject to delinquent utility payments to the City of Harlingen, to the Harlingen Waterworks. Tim?
Hi, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. Every month, Harlingen Waterworks disconnects customers who failed to pay their bill within a defined period of time. Charges that appear on the bill include water, wastewater charges, as well as sanitation and street maintenance fees that are passed on to us from information that is conveyed to us by the Public Works Department. We have limited means to go after collection for those customers who do not pay. We can go to file a claim in court. That's an expensive filing process. Typically, those charges are more than the bill amount that we would recover. There are bankruptcies that occur, and we can only recover a small fraction if we go through an elaborate claims process. A provision in the Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 552, allows for filing of a lien against the owner of a property owner whose account is delinquent and has been disconnected. There are some limitations on that. It cannot be filed against an owner's homestead property, and it cannot be filed against an owner where their tenant is the one who has the delinquent balance. So this really does narrow the applicability of a potential lien ordinance. The specifics of the ordinance that our board has considered and approved and recommended for the Commission's adoption defines a $100 threshold and above for filing a lien against such an owner's property. There are filing costs, administrative charges, and interest that are added on top of that lien that will accrue and increase that over time. And there's an appeals process that's defined where an action that staff is proposing to take, we would first notify the property owner that a lien will be filed. They have an opportunity to appeal that to Waterworks Board. If that appeal is denied, they will then have the opportunity to appeal it to City Commission. I do want to make one correction or adjustment on, I believe it is the second to last page, where at least 7 days prior to recording of a lien for delinquent utility charges, Waterworks would send notice. We want to extend that to 14 days. That just gives the property owner a little bit more time to receive the notice and then file their appeal. Our hope is that with an appeal, some of that could be handled at staff level if there's an inappropriate lien judgment or decision to file a lien, but if not, then it would go through that more formal process to board and to City Commission if necessary. It's not anticipated that this a lien ordinance would achieve a huge amount of increase in payment on delinquent accounts, but our board did feel it was an important tool for us to add to a very limited set of tools to be able to collect on delinquent accounts. And so for that reason, they are recommending adoption of an ordinance, and staff certainly concurs with that. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. It's a 3-page lien document. It's not very long. It has been reviewed by our system attorney and the city's attorney, and there have been changes through that process. We think we've got a very solid document.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We need to read the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City of Harlingen, Texas, amending Chapter 48, Utilities, by amending Article 3, Division 2, User Rates and Charges, by providing for the provision of liens for unpaid utilities, sanitation, and street maintenance services and fees, providing for enforcement, penalties, protests, and appeals, providing for publication, and setting an effective date.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion.
Second. Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 19, consideration of appropriate action on first reading of an ordinance amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinance, Chapter 48, Article 4, Division 4, by providing an industrial pretreatment program for the Harlingen Waterworks system. Tim?
Thank you. Harlingen Waterworks maintains a wastewater pretreatment program to regulate non-domestic discharges of wastewater into the city's wastewater system. The topic of pretreatment is a highly technical one that's couched in a lot of regulatory framework, and I think most find the topic difficult to approach. I would offer a very high-level definition of pretreatment to say that it is a set of processes and best management practices that an industrial customer would undertake to ensure that excessive pollutant loads are removed from their wastewater stream before they enter the city's wastewater system. Our pretreatment program began in 1984 through an ordinance. There were some federal regulations passed with the Clean Water Act back in 1972. And since 1984, there have been a number of federal changes in the recommended or mandated requirements, and accordingly, our ordinance has changed over the years. Our last update was in 2002. About 3 years later, 2005, EPA passed or adopted what's called the streamlining rule, and in 2007, they developed and published a model ordinance that they wanted municipal water utilities to follow with regard to their pretreatment programs. We, over that period of time, in the past 19 years, we have attempted to update that ordinance. There have been several failed starts. Some of our proposals to update the ordinance on first review by our state regulators were not approved or simply were not reviewed. Every 5 years, we do have to update our wastewater treatment plant permit, and part of that is ensuring that you've got a pretreatment program that meets state standards. So we began the process in anticipation that we would really need to get this done. So we started in 2018 with hiring a consultant to help us redevelop our ordinance, following very closely that model ordinance that EPA developed and wants utilities to follow. A second component of that consultant's effort is to look at and recalculate the specific pollutant concentrations that apply to industries. And there's a set of contaminants and pollutants that you will find in the ordinance. That's an elaborate process, and we've been involved in that. We'd submitted a sampling plan. We had submitted our proposed ordinance to TCQ last year. They finally approved our sampling plan, but we're still in process with developing those specific pollutant concentration loadings. That will be a future step in this process. However, earlier this year, the regulator told us or directed us that Harlingen would need to adopt the updated ordinance. That was a direction from them. And so we understand that the local limits, those specific concentration limits, will still retain the 2002 value, but sometime in the next year or two, we'll be able to update those with the new levels. So the bottom line here, this is an ordinance that the state, that EPA is mandating that we adopt. There's been certain customizations to Harlingen specifics. The fundamental purpose behind the streamlining rules, there are some additional mandatory requirements, but EPA defines this as a relaxation of regulatory burden on industries and on municipal regulators to the extent that those relaxation of rules do not change or affect environmental quality. And so I would submit, I can go into a lot more detail on a difficult topic, but this is mandated. We've been through the process of review with our system attorney, with TCQ, and I think this is a solid document, and we are recommending.
Would you read the caption, please?
An ordinance of the City of Harlingen, Texas, amending Chapter 48, Utilities, Article 4, Division 4, Industrial Waste, providing for an industrial pretreatment program, setting forth general provisions and general sewer requirements, providing requirements for pretreatment of wastewater, providing requirements for individual wastewater discharge permits, setting forth reporting requirements as well as standards for compliance monitoring, providing for the handling of confidential information, providing for remedies, enforcement and defenses, providing penalties and enforcement, providing for publication, and setting an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 20, consideration of appropriate action on first reading of an ordinance amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 48, Article 4, Divisions 1 and 4, as applicable to the general pretreatment requirements of the Harlingen Waterworks System. Tim, you have my permission to say ditto.
Ditto. I'll make it real short. There are provisions.
Yeah, that's not going to
Ditto.
Allison, would you read the caption, please?
An ordinance of the City of Harlingen, Texas, amending Chapter 48, Utilities, Article 4, Division 4. Is this correct? Hold on.
48. Oh,
This looks like a duplicate. Hold on just a second.
But there's a difference. One says Divisions 1 and the other one says 4.
Article 4, Division 4, Industrial Waste, as applicable to requirements for the operation and enforcement of the City of Harlingen Waterworks System's wastewater pretreatment program, which requirements supplement the City of Harlingen's industrial pretreatment ordinance by providing for permit fees and requirements, monitoring, sampling, and analytical fees, manifest system and chapter fees, abnormal sewage and certain industrial surcharges, cleaning frequencies, providing for the appeal of fees and surcharges, providing for remedies, penalties, and enforcement, providing for publication, and setting an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We've covered items 21 and 22. Item 23 is board appointments. Do we have any board appointments?
I have none.
I have none.
I do. Nathan Belonsky, Veterans Board, to replace John Sledge.
Okay.
I have none.
All right. Is there a motion to approve
Motion
board
approved.
appointments?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 24, A, attorney consultation pursuant to section 551.071 Texas Government Code to provide legal advice and legal counsel regarding possible amendments to Article 2, emergency and non-emergency medical transportation services under the Harlingen Code of Ordinances and related legal issues. Item B, update if necessary an attorney consultation pursuant to section 551.071 Texas Government Code to provide legal advice and counsel in connection with the lawsuit style of numbered Sun Valley Aviation versus Harlingen, cause number 2021 DCL 02730-G, 404th Judicial District, including consideration of settlement proposals. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to meet with our attorneys to discuss items in executive session. We will return. There is potential action, but there may not be any action after. Thank you.
I'll take this down, too.
All right. We're out of executive session at 8:26 p.m. and we're going to pass item 25. So that concludes our agenda, and we are adjourned. All right. Thank you all.